Nataraj has a printing press of his own, and in that printing press, he has only one person, Shastri, who is doing all the job. Nataraj wanted to empty his attic, which was stuffed with old newspapers, all the printing materials and all. So he was trying to bargain with a man who collects all these old paper. The story goes from one part to another to another, and finally, in the 12th chapter, we will come to the end. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are going to look at the novel, The Man-Eater of Malgudi, for the students of 4th semester B.Ba. Man-Eater of Malgudi is a novel written by R.K. Narayan. R.K. Narayan was an Indian writer and novelist known for his work set in the fictional South Indian town of Malgudi. All of R.K. Narayan's novels has Malgudi has a fictional town. You might have seen Malgudi Days, directed by our Kannada film industry famous actor Shankar Nag. He was a leading author of early Indian literature in English along with Mulkraj Anand and Raja Rao. When English writing in English started, R.K. Narayan along with Raja Rao and Mulkraj Anand, they contributed more towards Indian setup in English literature. His works include Swami and Friends, The Bachelor of Arts and The English Teacher, The Financial Expert, The Guide, and many other novels. His Swami and Friends, The Bachelor of Arts, and The English Teacher, it's a trilogy. It is like episodes, stories connected to one another. The previous batch students, that means the CBCS students, had The Financial Expert for their course. All of R.K. Narayan's novels deal with the Indian society, the story of a common man, and it gives us twists and turns. It holds the attention of the reader, and the story is very crisp. When you read the novel, you will go into the novel. Actually, you will be a part of it. So this is one such novel, Man-Eater of Malgudi. In this novel, Man-Eater of Malgudi, you have many characters. Among them are these important characters. Nataraj is the speaker of the story. He does the narration of the story in first person. It is the story of Nataraj. He is the protagonist, and Vasu is the antagonist. Antagonist means a person who goes in opposition to that of the main character. The story revolves around Vasu and Nataraj. Sen is a journalist. He is a friend of Nataraj. He is a journalist who collects the news in Malgudi, and he writes for a newspaper. Then there is a poet. He is also the friend of Nataraj. The poet is a school teacher. He is actually composing a monosyllabic verse on Radha and Krishna. Therefore, he starts writing it. He takes the help of Nataraj and Sen. Finally, he wants to publish it in the story. We will see what he does. Then there is a man by name Shastri. Shastri is an elderly man. He works with Nataraj. Nataraj has a printing press of his own, and in that printing press, he has only one person, Shastri, who is doing all the job. Sometimes Nataraj feels that Shastri is the owner of the printing press because Shastri tells Nataraj to do this and that work. Then comes one more character, Rangi. Rangi is also one of the important characters of this novel. She is a temple dancer, a prostitute, but she has been given a very important role in the novel. Muthu is a tea shop owner. Muthu is a man who sells tea near the Memphi forest. He also has an important role to play in this novel. Dr. Joshi is a veterinary doctor. Then there is one more character, Kumar. Kumar is the name of an elephant. So these are very important characters. There are many other characters, inspector, sub-inspector, ESP of the town. They all come in the story, but these characters are very important. You have to remember these characters. Keeping these characters in mind and their role, we will go through the incidents in the novel. This novel is divided into 12 chapters. The story goes from one part to another, another to another, and finally, in the 12th chapter, we will come to the end. Let us see what is inside this novel. As I told you, there are 12 chapters. This novel is given to you to encourage you to read the text, to enhance your reading skills. I hope most of you have read the novel by now, or you have the novel. So there are 12 chapters. The first chapter in this novel deals with the family of Nataraj. Nataraj lives in Malgudi. He has an ancestral house. He is running a press, printing press. He's a famous man and he does all the printing works in Malgudi. He has a wife and a son, Babu. He has a wife and he has a son, Babu. He tells the story of his family in the first chapter. Nataraj's father and his grandfather, they lived in Malgudi. They had a big house. Their family had too many members. Everybody stayed together. But what happened? After some time, there was some clash. People had to move out due to that clash. And finally, now in their house, there are only Nataraj, his wife, and his son. Therefore, the first chapter introduces us to the family of Nataraj. Then moving on to the second chapter. The second chapter talks about his profession and friends, and also entry of the antagonist, Vasu. His profession was that he had a printing press in Malgudi. He is a famous man. All the people in Malgudi depended on Nataraj to get their printing works done. And in his printing press, it was a long room which he had divided into two with a curtain. The front part of that room was the office and the part behind it was the printing press. In his office, he had some chairs kept for those people who wanted to come and sit and chat with him. Nataraj had three regular friends. One was Shastri, who was also the worker. The other one was Sen. He is a journalist. And there was this poet, a teacher of the school in Malgudi. He was a poet. These three people, they used to sit and chat on various topics. Sen was always criticizing the government of the day, which was of the Nehru. Pandit Nehru was the prime minister and he was criticizing the 5-year plans, and they used to have debate on those situations. So this was his usual day. So he had all the works of the printing press. Along with that, he had to meet his friends. His friends would talk on various topics and they would chat for many hours. In the evening, he used to close the printing press. And one fine day, what happened? There was this man by name Vasu. Vasu comes all of a sudden and he tells him that he wanted to have 500 visiting cards and 500 letterhead. So on that visiting card, he wanted this name, Vasu, M.A. taxidermist. What is taxidermy? Taxidermy is a process, a profession in which the animals which are dead, maybe through hunting or killing voluntarily. So those dead animals, their skins are removed, they are put on a cast and it is made to look like real animals. You might have found these things in museums. Even in many of the museums, people have kept these taxidermies, animals and birds. So that was his profession. So when Vasu comes here, we come to know that Vasu was a man who had done his masters from Madras University and he was a taxidermist by profession. So Vasu tells Nataraj that actually he was a Pahalwan. He was a man who was a bodybuilder. He met that man in one of the places. He learned all the skills. He ate good food. He nourished his body. He did exercise. He becomes strong. And then he performs his feat in most of the fairs with his teacher, and they used to have money in this way. One fine day, what happened? He quarreled with his teacher. There was a disagreement with his teacher and himself. So he hit his teacher, and his teacher went unconscious. So there ends his story. So he left his teacher and came to Jungad. When he comes to Jungad, he meets another man, Suleiman. Suleiman was a man who teaches him taxidermy, how to kill an animal, then how to remove all the stuffs which was not needed, and keeping its skin, how to mold it to look like a real one. So from there he learned the art of taxidermy. Now he is in Malgudi. Why is this man in Malgudi? In Malgudi there was a forest nearby, Mempi forest. Mempi forest. So this man had all this idea. There is a forest near Malgudi, and that is the suitable place to hunt animals, stuff them, make it like real animals and sell it for money. That was the profession of Vasu. So he came to Nataraj all of a sudden, he gave this order and disappeared. Then we will come to chapter 3. In chapter 3, we see Vasu settling down in Nataraj's press. So Vasu was a newcomer in Malgudi. He wanted a place to settle down. By the same time, Nataraj wanted to empty his attic, which was stuffed with old newspapers, all the printing materials and all. So he was trying to bargain with a man who collects all these old paper. During this point of time, Vasu comes there. He becomes the mediator between Nataraj and the man who is collecting the waste paper. So when all the papers were removed from the attic, Vasu said that he is going to stay there as his friend temporarily until he finds another place to live in. But what happens? This becomes his permanent settlement. Then government permits Vasu to enter the forest. At the same point of time, Vasu had already put an application asking the government to permit him to go and visit the forest area. In this chapter, we see that he receives a letter from the government which says that it was happy to permit him to go and look at the forest. And now Vasu smiles in the end and says he has not come to visit Mempi Hills as a tourist. Actually, he wanted to know what all the animals available in Mempi forest. So this is the summary of chapter 1, 2 and 3. Continuing from here, in chapter 4, we see that Nataraj was already working for a man who was called an adjournment lawyer. Adjournment lawyer. This man had his daughter's marriage. He wanted to have the invitation cards printed by Nataraj. Nataraj was dealing with this man. He was having business conversation with this man. All of a sudden, Vasu comes in his jeep. Then he calls Nataraj, "Hey Nataraj, come. There is only a 5 minutes job that I want you to see." Then Nataraj says, "No, I am actually having a business with the lawyer." He says it takes only 5 minutes, and he takes Nataraj from his printing press to Mempi forest. But that was a forest which was far from Malgudi. Vasu goes there. He leaves Nataraj near a tea shop. This is where we find another character, Muthu. Muthu was a man who had this tea shop near the entrance of the Mempi forest road. Many people who used to work there, laborers, they used to have tea in his shop. The bus would halt at his place, and then we see that Vasu left Nataraj near his tea shop and he went into the forest, but he never returned. He took Nataraj in the morning. Even by evening, he did not return. Sensing this man takes the help of Muthu, and then he gets into the bus. He comes back home very late in the evening. This is what we see in chapter 4. In chapter 5, Vasu told to find another place to live in. So Vasu was told by Nataraj that he should change his place. Vasu has already started doing his job, taxidermy. He used to go into the forest. He shot some animal. Previous night he had brought a big tiger which was killed. It was measuring 10 feet in length, tip to toe. So he has started his work. This taxidermy is a job where one should kill animal, they should tan the skin. It is a very dirty business and it smells very bad. So when this was happening, people started complaining, Nataraj, something foul smell is coming from your printing press. And this killing of animals, Nataraj could not tolerate. So he wanted to tell Vasu to find some other place to live in. Therefore he tells. Vasu was told to find another place to live in, but Vasu simply smiles. He was a very strong man, he was a strong built man, and he was a bully. So what he does, he secretly sends a complaint to the rent control authority, telling them that Nataraj is the owner of the place, but this place was not good for living. Vasu did this because he was told to vacate the place. So finally what happens in that chapter? A summons is sent to Nataraj. So now he is really worried. Then he goes to the adjournment lawyer for help. In the 6th chapter, a sanitary inspector also visits Nataraj's place. The people living with Nataraj, they also give a complaint telling that something is wrong with Nataraj's printing press. We are unable to live here due to the foul smell coming from the printing press. Therefore, he receives a complaint and a sanitary inspector visits Nataraj. Then Rangi appears in his attic. So when these things were going on, the Mempi forest also becomes aware of the animals disappearing all of a sudden. The forest guard, the inspector of the forest, everybody become very suspicious that the number of animals are reducing in Mempi forest, and therefore they tighten security of the Mempi forest. This makes Vasu's work very hard. He cannot go easily into the forest and kill them now. Therefore, he is unable to go out and do his job very easily. Along with that, what happens? We find the Rangi. We find Rangi, the temple dancer, a prostitute. This woman starts coming and going into the attic of Nataraj. This creates a doubt in the mind of Shastri. And now Nataraj's respect in the society is at stake. In the 7th chapter, we find Muthu visiting Nataraj. Previously, when Nataraj was there at the tea shop where Vasu disappeared without informing anything, Muthu had helped Nataraj to come back to his town, and he had told that he was also writing something, he wanted that to be made into book. And now he has come with a proposal. Near Mempi forest there was an elephant which was really unwell. That elephant was not eating well. So this man said that there was an elephant near Mempi and that is to be brought to Malgudi to be treated by veterinary doctors of the town. So they planned something how to bring this ailing elephant to the Malgudi town. They, along with the help of their friends and people, they somehow managed to bring that unwell elephant to Malgudi. So they start treating the elephant and the elephant becomes well. In chapter 8, we see the preparation for the book publishing. As I told you, the friend of Nataraj, the poet, the schoolmaster, he had started writing about Krishna and Radha in monosyllabic verse. So now it is being completed. So he wanted to give that book to the temple. Therefore, they wanted to have a great occasion like a festival to be made for celebrating his completion of the work and also donating his copy to that of the temple. So they find an opportunity here. They started to collect funds. In this chapter, we see Nataraj becomes very busy in preparing and also raising funds for this program. So he wanted to have a festive-like situation in order to publish his friend's book. In chapter 9, we come to know that Vasu, he was planning to kill the elephant, and this was revealed by Rangi to Nataraj. This man, Vasu, did not have any opportunity to go into the forest, hunt animals and come back. He is now really going mad. But he had promised somebody that there was an elephant in Mempi. So they all wanted to have the body parts of this elephant, the stuffed parts. And this man had taken some money. So he's planning to kill the elephant. So when Rangi becomes a favorite person to Vasu, she was preparing a wonderful pulao, and Vasu fell in love with that pulao. So he revealed his plan to Rangi and he told her not to reveal it to anybody. But she could not tolerate it. Now, the elephant which was treated has become the part of the temple. And Nataraj was planning to use this elephant for a procession in the festive-like arrangement. So everybody loved elephant. That elephant did not hurt anybody. It was a calm elephant. So everybody loved it. But this man, Vasu, he wanted to kill that elephant. And he revealed the same to Rangi. Rangi now could not stay at peace. She was really disturbed and she wanted somebody to do something for protecting the elephant. So she comes down from the attic and tells Nataraj. Nataraj was busy in printing the books of his friend. It was late in the night. And now she tells Nataraj that this man is trying to kill the elephant during procession. Now Nataraj could not believe it and he was really worried. So all these things happen in chapter 7, 8, 9. In chapter 10, Nataraj's friend and police inspector confront Vasu. So Nataraj goes to his friend and tells that Rangi told me that Vasu is planning to kill the elephant during procession. So the friends of Nataraj, they become really worried. Now they go to the police. They tell the inspector of the town about his plan. But he demands a solid evidence of his plan. Vasu already had the license for his guns and revolver. They also sent the message to the SP of the district. But the SP is of the opinion that he has a valid license and there is no strong evidence in order to take action against this man. So when this was told, the friends of Nataraj, Vasu, the poet, a circle inspector and the doctor, they go to the attic, they confront Vasu. The police inspector tries to bring him under control, but this man, Vasu, was very strong. He breaks the hand of the inspector and also he breaks the cot on which he was sleeping. So they come back and finally what happens? Now he comes to know, Vasu comes to know that his plan of killing the elephant has been revealed and he had only told Rangi. Now he sends a message to Rangi that she should immediately see him. So now in the 10th chapter, he sends for Rangi. Rangi, before going to Vasu, she meets Nataraj and tells him that she is going with his favorite pulao on the day of this function. The procession was to happen at midnight on a full moon day. So Nataraj makes sure that Vasu doesn't hurt the elephant. When Rangi goes there, it is already midnight. Nataraj was really disturbed. So he thought that he should now silently go and stop Vasu at any cost. The procession was to go on the same path. From the attic, he could easily see the road and also the elephant. He could kill elephant. So Vasu does something. He simply gets up. He goes during the midnight and the attic of the Vasu's door was open. He simply pushes everything quietly. The gun was on the floor. Vasu was sleeping on his chair because he had already broken his cot when the police officer and friends of Nataraj were there. So he silently takes the gun, he points it towards Vasu and keeps waiting until the procession goes away. The procession begins, the noise go up, the drums, the pipes, everything was creating a huge noise and this man was holding gun in front of Vasu and he was shivering. But what happens to his surprise? The procession went silently, quietly, but Vasu did not wake up. When Vasu did not wake up, he silently kept the gun down. He came out and he went home and slept nicely. On the very next day, in chapter 11, we see that Vasu is found dead. There was a registered letter for Vasu and the postman comes to see him. He goes to the room of Vasu, but when he saw, he quickly comes back running, very horrified. He tells Nataraj that the man in the attic is dead. Nataraj makes sure that this news was true. Now, Nataraj's press became the center of attraction. So people started suspecting Nataraj of Vasu's murder. So he says that he did not kill Nataraj. The investigation starts to find out who killed Vasu. So all these things were happening. At this point of time, Shastri was really worried. He tells that, okay, I am not going to stay here. I'm going to go somewhere and do some pilgrimage. He leaves. He suddenly disappears without helping Nataraj. Then in chapter 12, the investigation was on. Rangi was also investigated. She was questioned. Sen was also questioned. The inspector himself became a suspect. Then the doctor was also called. The poet was also called. Nataraj was also questioned. But nothing proved that somebody killed Vasu. And finally it was said that there was no evidence and there was nobody to blame. But there was a blunt weapon used to hit on the head of Vasu, and this man died of internal injury. When everything was cleared of his accusation, Nataraj becomes a normal man. But what happens after that? As we all know, the society started doubting him. Vasu came into the life of Nataraj. Nataraj's peaceful life was disturbed. There was this rent control authority incident. This man did not like Vasu, therefore he might have killed. Sen, the journalist, who also started coming to the press of Nataraj. The poet also started avoiding Nataraj. The adjournment, now a lawyer, was also not coming to his friends. Everybody started doubting this man. In every man, there is a cruel man, the other face, which we don't know. So therefore, everybody stopped coming to meet Nataraj or talk to him. Nataraj became very disturbed now. And he caught his friends, he scolded them. And finally, all of a sudden, in his printing press, he finds Shastri. He came like a normal man, he started doing his job. And he never questioned Nataraj. Nataraj felt very happy for his returning. But he wanted to know, how come this man is not doubting him? So he goes to Shastri and says, Shastri, why are you behaving like this? Everybody doubts me, but you don't ask anything about the incident. Don't you know what happened here? He said, yes, I know everything. Rangi told me everything. Rangi told you everything? What did she say? And here we come to know that Rangi was present when Vasu died. She tells the story to Shastri. The situation was like this. On the day of the procession, Vasu was waiting for the opportunity to kill the elephant, and he slept for some time before the procession started. But the place was infested with mosquitoes. And this man told Rangi to fan him. She was fanning him and she also fell asleep. It was late past midnight. Finally, what happened? When she stopped fanning him, all the mosquitoes started coming and attacking Vasu. And most of the mosquitoes sat on his forehead. And at some point of time, Vasu, he wanted to kill the mosquito. He forcefully hit the mosquito which was on his forehead. His hand was so strong, it had become so hard, like a blunt weapon. He damaged his internal organ on his head with a single blow. And Vasu hit his head with his own hand and died. This woman, Rangi, was there, and now she saw that this man was not breathing, and she quietly came out of the place. And after that, Nataraj went there, he took the gun, he waited for him to not get up, and he never got up. And the next day, the postman found him dead. The investigation started. People started doubting each other. And finally, the truth is revealed. Now Nataraj is very happy. Is really happy now because nobody killed Vasu. Only he killed himself, just like Bhasmasura. So here we see that the story ends with a positive note, and Nataraj, he started doing his business. To summarize the entire novel, you have to remember the characters. Nataraj, Vasu, Sen, Shastri, journalist, Joshi. Joshi was the veterinary doctor who treated the elephant. So all these characters you have to remember. How does the story starts with Nataraj? Then we come to meet his friends. Then comes Vasu and his job. The story continues. Vasu does taxidermy. Then there is clash of Vasu with Nataraj. The story continues. The Mempi forest guards tighten the security. Forest security. So after that, security is increased. Vasu had no job to do. He started bringing Rangi into the attic, and then he plans to kill elephant. How did they get the elephant? Muthu, who was there near the forest, he saw the elephant and he wanted to treat that. He took the help of Nataraj. Nataraj somehow managed to bring that elephant from the forest to the town. In the town, Dr. Joshi treats the animal and they find that the elephant was actually being poisoned by one of the accomplices with Vasu. He wanted that elephant dead so that he could perform taxidermy on it and sell its parts to different parts of the world. So when elephant is really cured, it becomes a part of the temple and Nataraj wanted to use it for the procession to publish his friend's book. At the same point of time, Vasu was trying to kill that animal, but it was somehow stopped. And the very next day, Vasu died. And the very next day, people found Vasu dead. There was investigation. Then everybody started doubting Nataraj. Investigation was on, nobody found any evidence. So we can say no evidence. And finally what happened? Shastri reveals the secret. With this, the story ends. The Nataraj life comes to a normal thing. So you have to read the novel in order to enjoy each and every incident of this novel. I hope you will read the novel and I assure you that you will really enjoy it. We shall meet in the next class. Thank you.